Hi everybody, welcome to the Rambling Toffee podcast. I'm Mark. I hope everybody's doing well this Tuesday. Um, this podcast was going to start off with the positive results of the last 3 days, and I will continue to talk about that and, the games that we've had between Forest, Liverpool, and of course Brentford at the weekend, and everything regarding that. I'm going to get into that in a minute. Also, I was going to have a guest on today, Stu, who was going to be on, but for technical reasons, I've not been able to actually get him on today. So hopefully that'll be at the weekend. Is the plan? It'll be Saturday. So keep an eye and an ear on that when it's uploaded at the weekend. As obviously we've got Luton on Friday. So we've got lots to talk about. So it'd be great to have him on. Just to mention about him, he's on Twitter. If you follow him, he's Everton Views. I will put his Twitter address down at the bottom of the description on YouTube and also on Spotify and wherever, and also while I'm putting the links out later on for the podcast. So he'll be on. He has a Twitter page called Everton Views, and he talks about the Blues, obviously, and does some really good blogs. So it was a shame that I couldn't get him on today. It just found out that just the technicality, I'm just not able to get him on. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to speak to him and bring him on Saturday, probably Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. So we'll see how that pans out. But as I said at the start of the podcast, I wanted to talk positively about the results that have made us safe for this season, and everything regarding that, and the performances and everything, what it entails for the future of the football club and everything else. And as we move into the summer and beyond. But as you've probably seen on social media, on any blog, news out there, that 777 Partners, I think it started off with 777 Partners, basically the company that they own an airline called Bonza, which is based out of Australia. They've gone into administration, so obviously they are losing money, and it seems to be that the feeling is that 777 Partners are collapsing. So at this moment, and also with that happening, and also with news coming out regarding the fact that the next payments that they have been funding the club, obviously for a long length of time, to the club to keep it running, month to month, not just the staff and the salaries of the staff, the players, the day-to-day running costs, but also the stadium. But the story today, that means that a payment has not gone through for April, or not been going through, which specifically to the stadium, and I think that it's a tune of £15 million, which enables Rango Rock to continue, doing what they're doing and doing such a wonderful job, and getting this stadium to be completed in time for when we all move into in 15 months' time. So that was the breaking story. There was rumour stories yesterday regarding that they had until today to complete a takeover. I don't know if that's true, or I don't know if that was right. And I also heard rumours this morning that George Downing and Andy Bell, with an American consortium, are going to come in, and obviously, hopefully, they have the money and the funding to actually take over. If 777 Partners can't pay up and can't do what they need to do, and it's been dragging on and on and on. So at the moment, there's stories about Everton going to an insolvency group team, whoever they may are, regarding if how to renegotiate, try to get money moving around and everything else. So it's all up in the air. So as you can guess, I'm only reading these stories at the moment, only bits and bobs here and there, and it's just going to keep on coming out. But it's just completely knocked me off the positivity that I was going to come on this podcast today. Of course, I was going to have Stu on from Everton Views. He was going to come on. We're going to have a good chat about the week that we just had and the season, and also we'll probably have a chat about how things are going to go in the future, going into new stadium, the last season at Goodison Park, and all the positives that we can try and talk about. But as per usual, our off-field activities and everything that's going on regarding that it's just completely knocked me off my game and basically where I want to talk about. But I'm going to be positive in this episode. I'm going to try to be positive and talk about the on-field football, the on-field stuff that, is what we all want to talk about, really, and not all that crap that is ongoing at the moment. I hope, like everybody has said and what people are saying, that there's going to be a positive outcome in the end, and I hope it's sooner rather than later. This can't keep on dragging on. So let's start. Let's talk positively. Let's talk about the last week that we've, the performances, getting ourselves safe, the performance not just from the players on the pitch, the manager, the coaching setup, everything come together for last week and the last three games that, has enabled us to be safe currently. And even with the current, appealing a points deduction, that might come back. We might get points back on that. So that's even more positive stuff. So it may move us up the table a little bit further. So, it's all great. So, I've talked about the Forest game previous podcast, and that was the catalyst in the start, obviously, of changes that we found after the Chelsea defeat, which was obviously a doom and gloom, and the feeling that I had. And I still have my feelings regarding Sean Dyche. Is he still the right manager? Is he still the right person to take our club forward for another season? Is he that person? After that defeat, my feeling was he wasn't. He wasn't the right person. Do I still think that he's the right person going forward? I still have my doubts with him because we did have a period of time when we had one win in 15 games. There was, the football was terrible. The performance, the tactics, he was still strict. He was still strict in the way that he set the team up. He didn't want to change things. He didn't want to try new things. My frustrating thing at that point in time was, of course, we had a 3-week period where we were off, not playing football and games. They went away to Portugal, but he didn't change anything. He didn't try something different, put it out there and see how it would go. And it all kicked off because of what happened after that 6-0 defeat and the abject and the terrible, terrible performance that was what we saw and we witnessed. So after that, his coaching setup, the players, they all sat round and obviously they came to the decision, let's try this. He obviously changed, he decided to finally pull away from what he knew and try something different. The players and communication, everybody got on the same page. And what we got against Notts Forest was gradually a performance which had a plan and a direction. All the players knew what they wanted to do. You can see the concentration and determination and the commitment to go out there and get a result because we needed the result. We needed to get the points. We got them against the team, obviously, who is in the same position that we are, near the bottom end, scrapping to get out of the relegation situation that we were in at that point. So we came away from that. There was a positive feel about it, but we all knew when the derby came along on Wednesday night that that was going to be what we're going to do. Just go out there, put a performance in, and just hope. My feeling before the game was it was a home game. Obviously, it was against Liverpool, who were still at that point going for the title. Still, there was a chance for them to get. So they've got their players. They've got a really, really good team. We all know that. But obviously, they have had a bit of a blip of late since the Manchester United game. I think it was. They've not played great. They're not getting performance in. They've obviously lost to Crystal Palace as well. They've not been getting results, but they did come off the Fulham win before playing us on Wednesday night. And for me, the team was set up as expected. And I think one of the catalysts, one of the big things that I noticed that changed everything, going back to the Forest game, was Idrissa Gueye. And I think he was pivotal for the whole of those three games, sitting in that position and just doing his job, putting out fires, doing what he's always been very, very good at. And without him, I think he was the catalyst, what changed everything in the midfield and everything throughout the team and how we played. And that's why I think he's been, my man of the match throughout the whole of the last three games. He scored as well. He's actually got the shots that he's had. He's got them on target, which is absolutely fantastic. But the performances throughout, and I always think, looking at this as the spine, but that game against Liverpool on Wednesday, my feeling was I would just hope we get a point, and I just hope that we'll take a point from this, and hopefully get to, likes of Luton and Forest as well will not get the results that they want. Burnley as well, because they seem to have picked up, hoping that they lose games and and get us in the position that when we come to Brentford we can get a result against Brentford, and then hopefully we can be in a stronger position that we can come up against Luton and we can get a result there, and that we will be safe. But what happened on Wednesday night was, I think I said it on TikTok in the video, and I've said this, it was such an amazing performance throughout, not just the spine of the team, not just through just the guy, as I mentioned, throughout from Jordan Pickford all the way through to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who was playing with an injury and the sickness bug, the commitment from the likes of Jack Harrison and Dwight McNeil, the midfield with, James Garner, and, and it was just such, and Decore, of course. Decore performance getting forward has not been great, but he was part of that team that just went out there. It had that feeling of Dogs of War about it. It had that feel of that time under Joe Royle many years ago, where we just went out there. Don McCavalin was the Duncan Ferguson of the time, of now, and you could just see it. We were going after them. We were attacking them. They just didn't know what to do. They were making fouls throughout the pitch. It enabled us to do what is our strength, is obviously get the ball into the box, get Dominic Calvert-Lewin, in there, get the knock-ons, get anything like that, and they couldn't deal with it. And yes, they created opportunities, but we had Jordan Pickford at the back making the saves, and we had a good defensive display. Even Ashley Young, who I've been critical of, came on for obviously Mikalenko, who is out, who got injured in that first half, and basically still played the 10 minutes with a with a really, really bad injury, and he still played on. That shows a commitment to just keep on battling and just keep going. And Ashley Young came on, was steady at the back, and I'm being positive here. I'm not going to talk about the season. That'll be for another day, where performances and everything else, and all the whole ups and downs that we've had this season. But that game and that performance from everybody who took part, committed, fought, battled, did everything. But it wasn't just that. It was the atmosphere in the stadium, and it was everything. And when you get the team battling, tackling, and getting into Liverpool like a typical derby game normally are, getting into them, getting into their faces, making them, feel, a threat that they can't, they're backing off. To do that, it got the fans involved, it got us involved, and it's a derby, you'll get us involved anyway, but it got us involved. The atmosphere in that stadium was fantastic. It's an evening game. It was absolutely perfect, and it was a perfect game for Everton and for the setup, from the tactics, the formation, for everything that was set up. So I put out to Sean Dyche, and I'm critical, and as I mentioned, I'm still critical of him in the future, but he got it right. It was a Sean Dyche team. It was a Sean Dyche setup in a sense, but it seems to be changed things around a little bit more movement around from players. I noticed Dwight McNeil not just playing on the wing; he was getting it more into central positions. Everybody was doing their job to the best, and it was absolutely amazing. But I just want to shout out also to the 1878s, who, again, with the flags in the Gladys and the mosaic in the park end, and the atmosphere it generated, it was such an amazing feeling, and it was like goose pimples on my arms. You just couldn't make it up, and it's been for a season that we've had for the period about 3 months, 4 months, where we basically weren't winning games, we were playing poorly, and everything. It's just amazing what happened after that 6-0 defeat to change things, and it's just simple. Not just Dyche with his tracksuit and going from a suit to a tracksuit. That changed things. It felt like everybody together. Let's get together, let's do something about this. And you can see the players, the confidence is getting confidence is a wonderful thing. And when things are not working and you're trying everything, you're doing everything, create opportunities in games and they just don't happen and the performance is not there, confidence starts going with it. You everything you just like your motivation goes and you can't. You're trying every week to try and get that performance in, and so that performance against Liverpool was just not one performance from one player. I think you can go through the whole team and say they all got tens because of the commitment and the way that they played, and they just went out there and just did an absolutely amazing job. And that's for me. I mean, it's just that is what an Everton team should be like. In my mind, it should be set up in that way. Go out there. If you're not playing well, you go to the default, which is basically go out there and put the shift in, commit yourself, work hard, battle, do everything you possibly can to upset that team. Because Liverpool are a fantastic, as I mentioned, a fantastic football team. They pass and pass and pass. Their press is absolutely amazing. We've seen how good they can be. Yes, they've hit a bit of a blip, but they've still got those players in that team that on a minute like that, just a click, bang, they just score. And they just turn games around like that. And it's right up to 94th, 95th, 96th minute. You have to still be on the game. Even if you're 2 or 3-0 up, you still have to just keep going because they could just turn. And that's what we didn't get from it. Why? Because we set up, we went out there and made it so hard for them to actually do that. And what happens is because we got the goal early on, we did what confidence starts to pick up. We start passing the ball a little bit more. We start doing a bit more because players are getting confident. Players are starting to think we can actually get a result here. We can go for it, and you can see it, and the fans can see it. So it generates it from the fans and everything else. So you see that, and then what we saw, you know, after that game, the momentum, the confidence, the belief, players happy, talking and cheerful, managers happy as well. Everybody, you can see it all. It was like a click, and it was like, oh, you know, they should have done this a while ago. They should have. Sean Dyche, and this is, he should have, with his coaching staff and the players, they should all sat down that 3 week period when things weren't working or not going the way it was and not getting performance and just go actually say, right, let's change something then. We could have gone into the West Ham game with that kind of that attitude to go at the team and go at the players. The team out, go at the opposition players, go out and do a job and get results. Play that way because short term, that's the way we have to move forward. But we'll see against, as mentioned, not Brentford. I'll mention about Brentford in a moment. But when we move on to Luton, we will now see because we are safe and relaxed and everything. We've got nothing to play for now, but just to play games. We will see that confidence and that relaxed atmosphere feel for these players to go out there and start playing their game, what they've not been able to do because the setup or the formation has been restricted in a way that's not allowed them to do so. But now we're in this position where we're safe from getting relegated. We're in the Premier League for next season. We can go out there and just be relaxed and play our game. You might see something completely different. You might see players passing it around and playing really good football, and something that we've not seen all season. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. But as I mentioned, we'll go for Liverpool game, absolutely wonderful performance. Go to the Brentford game, and I kind of expected this was going to happen. That all the all the excitement, all the adrenaline, all the everything from that Derby game, there was inevitability that we'll be very lackluster in against Brentford in the first half. But also the players and the fans, we all had that task, had that thing in our mind that if we get 3 points today and if Luton lose, we're safe. And that first half was very lackluster. It was like after the Lord's Mayor show. It was after that big win on Wednesday. They couldn't get going. They tried. They had one or two moments in the first half, but they just couldn't get going. He couldn't move. It was like frustrating. And we all know, and probably players do as well. could needed to get warmed up again. It just took a little bit longer to get going, and I think it wasn't until the second half. Obviously, we get the got by Gate again, another man of the match performance. I thought Jordan Pickford played really well. Tarkowski again. I can go on with the performances with certain players throughout, but you know, second half we were a lot more with it, a lot more going for it. I mean, McNeil had one hit the bar, Garner had one that hit the bar. We started to get more forward a little bit more. Defensively, we were strong again. Obviously, Brentford are a good team, despite where they are. They're a good footballing team, but we dealt with them perfectly fine. And, we come away with the 3 points that we need. And this is where we are, we're safe. And, we can relax for this season anyway. So we can go into the Luton. And then we got Sheffield United, our last home game. Obviously, they are relegated. So that'll be a nice game. He could decide to, play Chimiti more than Calvert Lewin, and Beto will be back, of course, and let some of the younger players maybe come in for the next games. I don't. We'll just have to wait and see where it goes. So I will put this out there, and I will say, well done to Sean Dyche and his coaching team. Well done to the players, of course, for the last week. And you look at the stats. We may have not scored many this season. That's been a big weakness that we've had. But defensively, we've been absolutely amazing. If you look at the stats, and I think we've come through it, and we now need to get to next season. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, everything's up in the air at the moment. So it's going to be interesting over the next few days what happens next, because where are we going to go? Are we going to get people coming in? If it's not going to be 777 partners, who is it going to be? Who's it going to be? As I mentioned, is it Stuart Downing, George Downing, or Andy Bell with an American consortium? If the rumours are true from yesterday, what I heard this morning, is it going to be them? Are we going to find out more about them? Is it going to come out at some point? I don't know. Is it going to be today, tomorrow, whatever? So that's still up in the air. But on a footballing front, on what we did on the field, and this week, you know, fantastic. It's amazing. It's fantastic. It's wonderful to be a fan. This is why I care about Everton Football Club so much. We can go through all the crap and all the shite that is currently going on still off the field, and what's been going on the field with the performances for that period of time. But they pull you back. They pull you back. They made you feel 50 foot tall. They pulled me in that direction again. And when you feel like that, you start looking at people differently. And that's what I mentioned about Sean Dyche. I still have my doubts because of the way things are this season. Is he the right manager to take us forward in the future? That'll be something for the summer. He may still be in a job for next. He may be in a job for next season because of all the crap that's going on and what happens with the club. We'll find out in due course. So yeah, it's been it's quite a short one today. We've got Luton upcoming on Friday. I'll have Stu on from Everton Views. He'll be on Saturday. Hopefully, if I can get the system, everything set up for him to be on that episode. So it'd be absolutely fantastic to speak to him and talk about everything Blues, not just about the last three games. It'll be the fourth game when we play Luton, but also about everything off the field, the stadium, anything else that's on our minds, whatever we want to talk about going forward. So that will hopefully be recorded on Saturday evening, and it will air date probably be Sunday when I've um, edited and put everything to it. But I want to put this out there to you guys. Again, thank you very much for the support, from watching this video to listening to my podcast throughout this season. My rants and rambles and all sorts of stuff that's coming out of my mouth, how I feel about Everton. Still a bit way to go. I want to progress this podcast. I want to get it bigger and better and let more people in, like Stuart, who's coming in on Saturday. Tom, who I spoke to in August, I want to bring him on to talk about Long Island toffees. I want to bring any of you guys who do the drones for for the new stadium. You want to come on, talk about what you do and how how you see in the stadium and everything else like that. If you want to come on, if you're listening to this podcast today, if you want to come on, give me a message. Just let me know. We'll try and organise something because we're going to have a lot of time over the summer period. So it'd be great to be able to get you guys on, talk about all things blue, not just about the stadium, about the club, the season we just had, and all sorts of things. But I just want to throw it out to everybody. Thank you again for the support. Thank you again for just listening to me because some of the crap that comes out of my mouth sometimes, but that's just how I am and how I speak and how I want to talk. Talk to you guys. But yeah, thanks again. So I'll put the description below for all where you can find me on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube, and also I will put where you can find Stuart's page on Twitter, on social media for Everton Views. So if you want to go on there and follow him, I just want to throw out a bag full of toffees. I know you listen to my podcast every weekly. Thank you again for the support. I've been reading some of the great stuff that you've been putting out there, and it's it's honest and open, and it's truthful, and it's what he feels about Everton Football Club on the field and off the field. And if you agree with him or disagree with him, it's just still a good read. If you've got a chance to, again, I'll put it in below in my bio. Go on there, follow him, read some of his great blogs that he puts out there regarding Everton because it's really good and very funny at times and enjoyable. In some positive frame of mind when things are positive. Obviously, the negativity is still around there and it's in the background. That one going. But please give him a follow as well. Really good supporters out there. I can keep on going on. I can rant on. You probably stop the playing after you listening to me speaking me rubbish. But anyway, but on that note, thank you again for listening. I'll be back on Saturday, back on Sunday. It'll be out on Sunday, so please, as soon as I put it out there, please give it a listen. It's going to be great having Stu on talking about all things blue, and we'll go from there. So thank you again. Have a great day, great week. Let's hope we can get a positive end to the week with regards to everything off the field, and we can go from there. So take care, everybody, and I'll speak to you soon. This is the Rambling Toffee signing out, and take care. Bye bye.